We all encounter moments in life where we are tested, where our trust is broken, where we are betrayed by those we loved, or where the weight of someone else's actions falls heavily upon our shoulders. These moments cut deep. They leave marks that can last a lifetime. But here's something many fail to see. The pain others inflict on you, the wounds they create in their ignorance or malice, will never just disappear. It might feel like they have moved on as if their actions were without consequence, but time, the great equalizer, has a way of returning everything that was once taken, especially the pain they gave you. For some, it will come in the form of guilt, that quiet, gnawing voice that reminds them of their wrongs. For others, it will come in the form of lost opportunities, broken relationships, and a weight they cannot shake. In this speech, we explore the undeniable truth that the pain they gave you will return to them in ways that will make them see the truth of their actions. It's not about revenge or bitterness. It's about the law of consequences, and about the profound reality that nothing goes unaccounted for in this life. The moral echo of pain. When we experience pain at the hands of others, it often feels as though the wound is a silent act, slipping away into nothingness. We might believe that the hurt is isolated, that once the immediate sting fades, it disappears, leaving no trace. But in reality, pain is never truly isolated. It reverberates, like a stone thrown into a vast lake, sending ripples outward, affecting not just the person who suffers, but the very structure of the world around them. This is what I call the moral echo of pain, an echo that cannot be silenced. No matter how much the perpetrator believes their actions have been forgotten or overlooked, there is an intrinsic law at play. Every harm that is done, no matter how quietly or seemingly unnoticed, creates a consequence. It might not be immediate, and it might not be dramatic, but it will return in some form. The victim of the pain may move on, grow, and heal, but the one who caused the harm cannot escape the underlying truth. They have now created a debt that must one day be repaid. This echo manifests in different ways. Sometimes it surfaces through guilt, where the person who inflicted pain is haunted by their actions. They might not know why they feel uneasy, why they struggle with a persistent, subtle anxiety that doesn't seem to go away. Deep down, they know they have wronged someone, and that knowledge becomes an unspoken burden. Other times, it reveals itself in the form of failed relationships, opportunities lost, or a hollow feeling of regret that becomes inescapable over time. Life has a way of teaching those who harm others, even if they remain unaware of the lesson being taught. The most striking thing about this moral echo is that it does not follow human timelines. It operates on a rhythm that is indifferent to our desires for instant justice or quick resolution. We may never see the moment when the person who hurt us is forced to confront the consequences of their actions, but rest assured it will happen. Life has a way of returning things to their rightful place, and those who cause pain cannot outrun this truth. It's also important to recognize that this echo is not a punishment, but a natural consequence. Pain doesn't seek revenge, it seeks balance. The pain that others give you becomes part of a cycle that stretches far beyond you. It teaches them a lesson, but it also teaches the world around them. The ripples of their actions are felt by others, and soon they will realize that the world they inhabit is no longer the same. Their moral universe has been altered by the very thing they thought would be forgotten. You may never get to see this moment. You may never receive the apology, the closure, or the satisfaction of knowing they have felt the weight of their wrongs. But the truth remains. The moral echo of pain they caused will not disappear. It lingers in the fabric of life, ready to return to them when the time is right, in the way they least expect it, and when it does, It will be the one thing they cannot outrun. This is the law of cause and effect. This is the reality that transcends our understanding of time and justice. And this is what makes the pain they gave you not just something to endure, but something that has the potential to transform both you and them in ways that you cannot yet see. The pain they gave you will never be forgotten, and it will never fail to return, not because you wish it, but because it is the inherent law of the world we live in. Your suffering was not meaningless. In life, pain often feels like a force that strikes us without reason. It doesn't come with a warning. It doesn't ask permission. And perhaps most troubling of all, it seems to arrive without any real purpose, leaving us to wonder whether all the hurt we've endured means anything at all. Whether the loss, betrayal, or emotional devastation we've faced was simply a random consequence of the chaotic world we live in. But here's something profound to consider. Your suffering was never meaningless. It may have felt as though it was, particularly when you were deep in the trenches of pain and despair. It may have seemed like the world was indifferent to your struggle, as though the people who hurt you carried on with their lives without so much as a glance back. But just because we don't immediately see the meaning in our suffering doesn't mean it isn't shaping us in ways we cannot yet understand. One of the hardest truths to confront is that suffering often comes before growth, and growth is rarely a comfortable process. Pain is the forge that tempers us, making us stronger, wiser, and more aware of our own resilience. It teaches us what we are truly capable of enduring, but it does something even deeper. It reveals the value of our inner integrity, our ability to rebuild, and our capacity to find meaning even in the most difficult circumstances. In the face of suffering, you have a choice. You can let it consume you, or you can use it as a catalyst for change. That is the lesson hidden within every wound, the potential for transformation. What others meant to break you, the universe has designed to make you whole again, but this time with a strength and wisdom that cannot be undone. Your suffering also serves as a silent reminder that you are not defined by the pain others cause. You are not reduced to the hurts of the past. Instead, you are defined by how you respond to them, by how you rise from them. It's not about erasing the pain or pretending it never existed, but about transforming it into something meaningful, something that will elevate you and your life to a higher level of awareness and purpose. You are not weak for having suffered. You are stronger for having survived it and for having the courage to move forward in spite of it. The emotional scars you bear can become the foundation of your wisdom. They are the roots from which your understanding of the world grows, and the depth of your character is shaped in the soil of experience. Each hurt, betrayal, and disappointment is a piece of the puzzle that reveals the bigger picture of who you truly are and what you are capable of becoming. These trials don't diminish your worth, they refine it. The real tragedy, of course, is that those who inflict pain often fail to recognize the consequences of their actions. They may walk away convinced that their harm was insignificant, but the truth is, your suffering is never in vain. It is the silent architect of your strength, your wisdom, and your ability to transcend what was once designed to destroy you. It's easy to become consumed by the hurt, to fall into a mindset that tells you your pain is senseless or endless. But in reality, your suffering is one of the most powerful tools you possess. It's the very thing that teaches you the difference between who you were and who you're becoming. And in the end, you'll realize that the pain they gave you wasn't something to curse. It was something to be grateful for. It was the catalyst for the very transformation you now embody. This is the paradox of suffering. It feels like it will break us, but it is, in fact, the very thing that molds us into something we could not have become without it. Your suffering was never meaningless. It was the preparation for the greatest version of yourself, the one who will emerge from this stronger, more compassionate, and ready to take on the world with a renewed sense of purpose and clarity. The inescapable weight of guilt. We often think of guilt as an emotion reserved for those who consciously harm others and immediately feel the weight of their actions. But guilt has a way of creeping into the lives of those who believe they can get away with their wrongdoings, those who cause harm and then walk away, seemingly unaffected by the damage they've done. They may not feel the sting of guilt in the moment, but make no mistake, guilt doesn't disappear just because it's ignored or repressed. It lingers, it festers, it builds. The idea that someone can cause pain without any repercussions, that they can hurt others without consequence, is a dangerous illusion. The truth is, no one can escape the weight of their actions forever. It doesn't matter how far they run or how long they avoid facing the reality of their harm. Guilt has an insidious nature. It does not fade or disappear with time. It waits patiently, quietly seeping into the consciousness of those who have wronged others, whether they realize it or not. For those who have inflicted harm, guilt often takes root when they least expect it. It may not show up immediately, it may not be loud, but over time, the realization of their wrongdoing creeps in. Often in ways that are hard to recognize at first. Maybe it starts as a feeling of unease, a nagging discomfort they can't quite explain. Maybe it's a recurring thought that invades their mind at unexpected moments, a reminder of the pain they caused, that they can't simply erase from the lives of others. Guilt doesn't require recognition from others. It only needs the awareness of the individual. What's even more powerful about guilt is its ability to grow over time. It doesn't have an expiration date. It doesn't diminish with age or distance. In fact, it can often intensify as the person reflects on what they've done, especially if they begin to recognize how their actions have impacted the lives of others. Those who thought they could escape their responsibility are eventually confronted with the truth of their choices, and the weight of guilt becomes unbearable. But guilt doesn't just affect the individual on a psychological level. It affects every aspect of their life. It distorts their perceptions, clouds their judgment, and creates a sense of dissonance in their relationships. It often leads to a deep sense of insecurity or self-loathing because no one can truly feel at peace when they are carrying the burden of a past wrong they have not addressed. It drives wedge between them and the people they care about as the underlying shame leaks into their interactions. Perhaps even more tragically, guilt can become the quiet force that shapes their future decisions. It influences their ability to trust, to love, and to connect with others. The guilt they carry from their past actions can trap them in a cycle of self-sabotage, preventing them from ever fully moving forward in life. The regret that they don't face today will manifest as missed opportunities tomorrow, and sometimes they will never even know why things fall apart. Life, in a way, becomes their mirror, reflecting back the consequences of their own choices in subtle, almost invisible ways. What is so undeniable about guilt is that it's unavoidable. You can't outrun it. You can't hide from it. And you certainly can't lie to yourself and pretend it doesn't exist. It is an internal reckoning, a confrontation with your own morality, your own sense of right and wrong. Those who harm others may try to convince themselves that they've done nothing wrong, but deep down, they know. They know the truth of their actions, and that truth is the seed of guilt that will eventually grow into something they can no longer ignore. It's not about seeking revenge or wishing harm upon them. The point is that guilt will find them and it will haunt them in ways they can't escape. Life doesn't forget the harm caused. it returns it, not as a direct punishment, but as an experience of internal discord, of emotional unrest, and of self-inflicted consequences that nobody can see but the one who carries them. And perhaps in the end, this is the greatest lesson. The pain they gave you won't be the only thing that weighs them down. The guilt they carry for what they've done will weigh even heavier, slowly eroding their peace of mind, peace of soul, and eventually their sense of self. It's not the revenge you seek, but the natural and inevitable truth that guilt has its own way of teaching, often in the most painful, irreversible ways. Justice wears the mask of time. It's a saying that time heals all wounds, but I would argue that time doesn't heal, it reveals. The passing of time doesn't erase the pain or undo the harm caused by others. Instead, time gives the truth space to emerge, bringing clarity to situations that once felt uncertain or unresolved. And in this space, the concept of justice unfolds. When we are hurt, especially by those we trust or love, it's natural to feel a deep desire for retribution or some form of recompense. We want to see the people who wronged us confronted with the consequences of their actions. But often, justice doesn't arrive on our timelines. It doesn't come with the immediacy we crave. In fact, it may feel like justice is absent for a long time, as though life has allowed the perpetrator to go unscathed. But here's the thing about justice. It is never truly absent. It simply wears the mask of time. In the moment of suffering, it's easy to believe that nothing will ever come of it, that the person who hurt you will never feel the weight of their actions. Perhaps they continue with their lives seemingly unaffected, while you carry the scars of what they did. But justice, in its truest form, does not rush. It does not bow to the urgency of human emotion. It is patient, deliberate, and inevitable. This delayed sense of justice is often what frustrates us the most. We want immediate answers, immediate relief, immediate recognition that what was done to us was wrong. But life doesn't always operate on our timeline. The reality is that the person who hurt you is unlikely to face the consequences of their actions on the same schedule you have in mind. Sometimes they won't even recognize the harm they caused until long after it's too late to make amends. And that can feel like an unbearable injustice. However, it is in these moments of frustration that we must learn to trust the process of time. Justice, unlike revenge, is not about instant gratification. It is about long-term balance, about the universe working, often in ways we cannot see, to ensure that everything comes full circle. While the person who hurt you may appear to be untouched by their actions, the truth is that no one escapes the laws of cause and effect. Everything we do, every choice we make, sends ripples into the world. Even when we think we are free of accountability, we are never truly free. Life has a remarkable way of ensuring that those who cause harm will in time face the consequences of their actions. It may not be immediate. It may not even look like the kind of justice we expect, but make no mistake, life remembers. The pain they caused you may not return to them in the form of an obvious or direct punishment. Instead, it may manifest as a subtle shift in their lives, perhaps a failure to connect with others, a lost opportunity, or a repeated mistake that they cannot understand. The truth is, when we harm others, we plant seeds that grow in ways we cannot predict. And those seeds, whether we acknowledge them or not, will one day sprout. Sometimes this justice comes in the form of deep self-reflection. The person who hurt you may go on, continuing with their life, only to be confronted years later with the realization of their wrongdoing. The weight of their actions may suddenly land on them, and they will feel it, not in the way you felt it, but in their own version of emotional and spiritual reckoning. They may come to understand the depth of their betrayal, only when they lose something they hold dear, or when their own choices come back to haunt them in ways they never expected. And in that moment, they will understand. They will understand the pain they caused you, and it will weigh on them. Whether they apologize or not, whether they acknowledge it or not, they will have to reckon with the fact that their actions have come full circle. This is the beauty of justice that works over time. It is not dependent on us to demand it. It is not something we have to orchestrate. It unfolds naturally when we least expect it. Sometimes it's not about seeing someone punished or getting satisfaction from watching them pay for their wrongs. Sometimes the truest form of justice is seeing the life of the person who hurt you unravel in subtle ways. Seeing them face the consequences of their choices without them even realizing it. That is the quiet power of time. And for those who wonder whether they will ever see justice, remember, justice is not a one-time event. It's not a singular moment of reckoning. It is a process, one that unfolds slowly but surely in the course of a lifetime. It's the long arc of cause and effect that ensures no one gets away with the harm they cause. It may not happen the way you envision it, but it will happen. And in the end, the justice that arrives is often far more profound and far-reaching than we could ever have imagined. So, as you move through life, remember that justice wears the mask of time. It may take years, even decades, for the truth to be revealed, but when it does, it will reveal itself in the most powerful and inevitable way. And those who caused you pain will eventually see, perhaps in their own quiet moments of reflection, the weight of what they have done. The full circle of betrayal, how life teaches the lessons they refused to learn. There is a painful truth that many people must come to terms with in life: betrayal. It is one of the most profound emotional wounds we can endure, often inflicted by those we trust or love the most. Betrayal is not just about breaking a promise or a commitment. It is about the crushing realization that someone we believed had our best interests at heart has instead worked to hurt us, to deceive us, to use us for their own benefit. In those moments, it can feel like everything we held sacred has been destroyed. Our trust, our loyalty, and our faith in others can feel shattered beyond repair. And yet, it's in these very moments that we are faced with one of life's greatest lessons. Betrayal, while painful, is not the end of the story. Instead, it is a turning point, an opportunity for growth, transformation, and eventually a profound return of justice. When betrayal strikes, the natural reaction is one of hurt, anger, and confusion. We often ask ourselves, why me? Or why would they do this? We search for answers, trying to make sense of the senseless. We may feel as though the weight of the world has come crashing down on us, leaving us in a state of emotional and mental chaos. But there's something crucial to understand about the cycle of betrayal. What goes around, comes around. Those who betray us, those who hurt us in ways that cannot be easily healed, are often blind to the long-term consequences of their actions. They might not even realize that their behavior will one day come full circle, returning to them in ways they never anticipated. Life has a way of teaching lessons that the mind cannot always comprehend, but the soul understands. And for those who have inflicted pain upon others, life will find a way to teach them the very lessons they chose to ignore. One of the most striking things about betrayal is that it has a way of coming back, not necessarily in a form that we expect or wish for, but in a way that is just as powerful. The person who hurt you may believe they can walk away from the destruction they've caused, leaving you in the aftermath while they continue on with their life. They may even think they have won, that they've gained something at your expense, that their actions have not only gone unpunished, but have advanced their own agenda. But life does not forget. The pain they caused you will not simply vanish. It will return to them, but not in the form of revenge. It won't always look like you getting your pound of flesh. The truth is, what they did to you will become part of their own lesson, part of their own reckoning with their choices. Betrayal is a cycle. What they did to you, whether they acknowledge it or not, will return to them, and they will face it in a way that is far more profound than any simple act of retaliation. Perhaps they will never understand the depth of their betrayal in the moment it happens. They might move on, thinking they've outsmarted the situation or gotten away with their actions. They might even justify their behavior to themselves, rationalizing that they were justified or that you deserved it. But the truth is, they will never escape the consequences of their actions. Life has a way of ensuring that everything comes full circle. When they least expect it, when they are least prepared for it, the weight of their betrayal will fall upon them. It could manifest in the form of guilt, haunting them day and night, reminding them of the wrong they committed. It could show up in the form of relationships that crumble around them, friendships, marriages, or connections that were once strong and solid but are now broken due to the very same dishonesty and betrayal they once employed. Perhaps it will come in the form of an opportunity lost, a dream that slips through their fingers, or a sense of emptiness that never quite goes away. Those who betray often do not realize the damage they've caused until it's too late. They may not see the long-term effects of their actions, and they may never understand the depth of the pain they inflicted. But in the end, the truth will find them. They will be forced to confront their choices, and they will be made to reckon with the fact that their betrayal has set off a chain of events they cannot control. What makes this process even more profound is that it is not something we orchestrate. We do not control how or when the consequences will arrive. It is not up to us to demand that the person who hurt us face the repercussions of their actions. Life, in its wisdom, takes care of that for us. What goes around does indeed come around, but it is not always in the way we imagine or hope for. It may not come as a swift act of vengeance. Instead, it will come slowly, steadily, like a tide that rises without warning, until the person who caused the harm is overwhelmed by the consequences they never saw coming. In this sense, the full circle of betrayal is not something that is meant to harm the betrayer. It is a lesson that is designed to bring them back to themselves. It forces them to confront the truth of their own behavior, to experience the emotional consequences of their choices, and to learn the value of trust, loyalty, and integrity. For those who have betrayed others, life has a way of ensuring that they learn the very lessons they chose to avoid. It is a profound, often painful, but necessary process. And here lies the final piece of the puzzle, your role in this cycle. You might be wondering, after all the pain and hurt you've endured, what your part in this process truly is. After all, you are the one who suffered. You are the one who faced the betrayal. But here is the thing. Your suffering is not in vain. It is not pointless. It is the very catalyst that sets the cycle of justice in motion. By enduring this trial, by surviving the betrayal, and continuing on your journey, you become the lesson that the betrayer needs to learn. You may never receive the apology or closure you desire. You may never see the betrayer face the consequences of their actions in the exact way you wish for. But the reality is, the pain they caused you becomes the very force that ensures their lesson will be learned. Your resilience, your strength, your ability to move forward, even in the face of betrayal, is the lesson they need to understand. You are the example that shows them what happens when trust is broken, when loyalty is taken for granted, and when someone's actions are used to hurt another. your ability to heal, to rise above the betrayal, to continue on your path with integrity and strength. This is the lesson that will return to them, whether they realize it or not. They may never apologize, but they will feel the weight of their actions in ways that they cannot escape. Life ensures that no betrayal goes unnoticed and no harm goes unaccounted for.